Alright, so today we're going to install our irrigation. I decided to use TRǳWorks for my second year. I used them last year and I like the way that they work, so I decided to go ahead and use them again, just in a different application. Last year I had raised beds in some containers, so I used a emitter tubing, and this year I have row crops, or row dug-in beds, and I decided to go with the T-tape or the drip line, or the drip tape. So real quickly, I know there's a lot of pieces on the table, and you're kind of like, well, what's that and that and that, and how's that work? Well, I'll talk about it whenever I install everything, but basically, going to give you a quick overview on the stuff you need to get started, and if you're going to order this stuff, what you're going to want to start with. All right, what I recommend is, if you're going to use TRǳWorks, they have something called the Heart of the Garden Kit. It's like 40 bucks, and it gives you everything you need to do to go from your faucet to your bed. Now, it's not going to get you set up for in your bed. You're going to need to get an additional kit in order to do that. But what it's going to do is going to get you everything that you need just to get started with the first step. What that comes with is 100 foot of emitter or a mainline tubing, a Y mesh filter, and basically this is going to plug into your faucet and filter out all the sediment or any of the issues or any chunks that are in there, so it doesn't clog up the mainline tubing. And then it's going to come with a bunch of plugs and tie downs and end caps and your punch, and it's going to get you set up so you can bring your water from your faucet to your beds. Alright, once you do that, you have to decide what application you're going to use, and like I said, I used raised beds last year, and that called for something called emitter tubing. Now this is a 3/4 inch tube with laser drilled holes every 6 inches. So I think the max length on this is what you want to do is like 15 feet. So if you are running out at 15 feet max, this is pretty much as far as you can go. And anything farther, the drip will be a little less powerful. I decided to use T-tape this year, or drip tape, and this is drilled every 8 inches. And I don't know off the top of my head what the row length is. I want to say it's like 100 or 225 feet or something like that, but I'll post it in the comments below. This works really well if you have row crops. Like I said, the emitter tubing you can kind of weave and weave around. This you want to lay flat on your surface. I'm going to bury mine a couple inches deep just to get right next to the roots on that. And then I kind of built my system for what I needed, because I didn't need everything, because I still had some parts left over from last year. So I ordered some tie downs. These are pretty essential. These are going to pin down your mainline tubing and my T-tape. And then because I'm using T-tape, I have to use the emitters or the hookups, and this is going to go into my main line via the punch. And then I'm going to plug it into my tape, and this is what is going to allow the water to flow into the tape and then into my garden. And this is the end caps. Basically, it's just you fold the T-tape over, or the drip tape over, and stick it in here, and it cuts the water off at the end. So those are all the must-haves, and a nice-to-have would be your automatic timer. To be honest with you, I use mine as a turn-on, turn-off. If you're going to be there every day, if you don't anticipate a vacation, I don't think this is really necessary. Unless you're very, very forgetful, and every time you water your plants, you leave it on too long. It'd be nice to set it so it waters every 3 days or every 5 days. But what happens when it gets warmer and you need to water more frequently? What happens if you go through a little bit of a colder spell and you can go another couple days in between watering? What happens if it's been pouring for 3 days and now your water set to water, or your timer set to water on the next day? It has the potential to create some issues outdoors. If you were in like a greenhouse, I'd say definitely use this, because you can dial everything in and get it all set up right. But I ran into a lot of issues because I set this, and then it rained one day, and then it watered first thing the next morning, and I just had this mess in the garden. I will install, or I will put it in when I install my filter. However, I'm just going to use it as an on-off valve until I go on vacation for a week or so, and then I'll set it. It'll just be nice to have there. So basically, this is everything that needs to get started, and what I'm going to do now is bring everything out back, and I will start to install this and show you kind of how step by step I'm going to go from my faucet all the way to my beds. Alright, the first thing you want to do once you start to set this up is you want to lay your mainline tubing out. It was all wrapped up in a ball, or in a circle. It's been wrapped up in that circle for, I mean, God knows how long. they say the best way to do that is to unravel it, and I use one stake here, I use one at that corner over there, and then one at the final corner over there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stake it out pretty much where I want to dig or where I want to run that line. Now, you don't always have to dig your line. I just decided that, hey, if I'm mowing my grass, I don't want to be either mowing over the line or right next to, and then it's just a pain in the tail. So I find the easiest thing to do is just to dig the line in. So once you get set up like this, the next thing you want to do is dig your trench about 6 inches deep, right next to it. All right, so you got your trench dug. It's user preference, but for me, I think it's smarter to not bury all the line that's going to be you're going to be sticking the emitters into. Just if you need to work on it, it's you know, a pain in the tail to dig that drip line up, and then mess with your emitters, and then, you know, rebury it. Also, you want to test it before you bury it for the same reason. You don't want to spend all that time burying it, digging, burying, and then re-digging because something's up with the line. So what you do is you're going to take this coupler. It comes to the heart of the kit, and then you're just going to shove it on the end of this main line and then kind of tighten it down because there's no threads in the main line, and basically this pushes it out, and so you get a nice streamlined watertight seal. And if there's an issue with your seal, you just redo all your setup. Take your Y filter, go ahead and screw it in, and then I'm going to take my timer, screw that in as well. Try to get it pretty tight, and then I'm going to take it all and screw it in to my spigot. I have it's sometimes smart to use a Y filter or a Y adapter here, because, you know, if this is plugged in, this is the only thing that you're going to be able to use. And so I don't know how many hose hookups you have, and I know I'm going to need a Teflon this because my spigot is bad. And you want to kind of make sure all your kinks are out of it, because that's going to affect it. And then what you do is you turn it on. And basically I'm going to turn this all the way on. Alright, I can hear the water flowing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way down there, and I can see it, and whenever it starts to spit out, I know I'm good. Alright, I'm good, so I'm going to turn it off. It'll stop. There you go. And now I'm going to bury my line. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is test your line to make sure that there's no, that actually water's flowing through it and it's leaking properly. It's not just like squirting it out everywhere. So I installed this first line right here. Just now, I just wanted to test it to see about how far the emitters are apart and how that spreads out, because before installing this, I was pretty hell-bent on making sure that my plants will be right next to one of those emitters. But as I can see now, the spacing on those emitters is pretty close, and it honestly doesn't matter much. I think the plants will get plenty of water. I mean, that's only, you know, 6 inches apart. I thought it was 8 inches, but it looks like it's 6 inches apart. So, and it does a very good job of covering a lot of area. It was only on for about a minute and a half, so it did pretty well for that. All right, I'm going to install this next one just to give you an idea. It's not the easiest thing in the world getting the little plug in, but I'll just give you a quick idea of how it's done. First, you want to do is kind of run one line all the way to your main line, and then you're going to use this piece right here and install that into the main line and into your T-tape, your drip line. All right. They say per the instructions to install the T-tape to this prior to punching. It's okay, you can. I did not, because it's a pain in the tail trying to get this thing into the T-line or into the main line, because it's different. It's a little bit bigger than the punch that I have is. So you kind of want to. You don't have to be perfect. We're going to use the seam side is going to go down. Like I said, it covers a decent amount of area, so I'm not too worried about how even and perfectly aligned all this stuff is. What you do is you're going to take your punch and you're going to come at, so it's coming this way, so you're going to lay it up like this, about even. It's about a foot from the end, and what I'll do is I'll just take that, run it flat in, nice and deep. Make sure you get a good punch because it's a pain in the tail to try to get this piece in there. And I'll give it a try the way they tell you to first. So you're just going to put it on, kind of like what you did with the Y filter up there, and then you use this to kind of tighten down on itself, and it'll tighten real nicely for you. But of course, if you don't do it properly, you want to kind of make it level so that it's going to run perpendicular and your seam is going to be down, and then all you're going to really do is just shove this thing in there, and trust me, it's not fun. It's not fun trying to get this in there. You might want to use gloves. Alright, instead of making you watch me just do this for 5 minutes, I'll just show you in a sec when it's done. Alright, so now it's in. It takes about a couple minutes to do this, so bring gloves so you can push down hard on it. It's probably best if you like punch it out and then look inside to make sure it's got a clean hole, and then if not, kind of move it around, take something to stick it in there to make the hole clean. But once you get it in, it'll get tight, and just kind of push it down onto into the ground. You know, use a stake to kind of lay this drip line nice and flat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come to the other end, and what you want to do is make sure it's all seam side down, and I'm going to cut this about 1 inch or 2 longer than I would need, because the way this works is your end cap or your it's called like a goof plug or stop flow. It goes in and then folds back onto each other. So give me a second. Alright, so now I've got this cut, and what it is this plug right here. There's a big side and a little side. Take the little side and take your drip line and kind of shove it through. It's interesting with one hand. Alright. Run it through, and then just fold it back onto each other like that, and then just pull it tight. And once you have it like that, I like to take a tie down and kind of tie it down in place here. So, all right, well, I got that installed, and I'm going to run them all the rest of them, and pretty much that should be it. All right, I thought that Algebra 2 was called Algebra 2 because you had to take it 2 times. That's not everybody's experience. Well, as you can see, that I'm missing a bed of T-tape. I ordered 100 feet, and I didn't really think, 4 beds, 2 15-foot per bed, which is over 100 feet. So I'm going to order another roll of it, and I'll have extra in case something happens with one of these, or if I decide to expand in the future. But basically, everything's set up really nicely. I laid out the bamboo here real quick just so I can get an idea of how where my plants are going to be placed. But like I said, you don't have to be really crazy about the exact placement. This bed's a little bit wider, so I'm going to plant on the inside. This one's a little bit narrower. I'll put one on the outside here, and one on the inside here, and this one's kind of like the first bed, so I'll plant on the inside. However way it lays, you try to do the math and calculate, but nothing's a science in here. So just make sure you have them laid out and they're emitting like they are. It looks really nice, and the drips definitely are going to be great with the row crops. But like I said, it's nothing crazy. Make it so it works for you. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any comments or questions, please ask or leave them below. Like, subscribe, and all I have left to do is get some compost and amend these beds, and next weekend it should be a plant out video. So appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.